Well, for anybody paying attention, the mass immigration deportations have officially hit the Midwest. I live in a mid-sized town in Kansas, about 60,000 people, and I work at a facility where we employ a lot of immigrants. And unfortunately, we're going to be losing a lot of people this week.
Across Kansas, frustration is rising. Many Trump voters are facing broken promises, struggling farms, lost jobs, and a deepening economic crisis. The vision of prosperity has turned into uncertainty and anger. In this video, you'll hear real stories from Kansans living through the meltdown. Listen closely. The truth hits home.
I'm going to try to get through this without crying. My name is Louise, and me and my family own a wheat farm in Kansas. We are all certainly lifelong Republicans, and we were so happy to vote for Trump in all three of his elections. However, we were certainly not aware that he was going to put a funding freeze on all U.S. aid. 100% of our wheat produce is bought by U.S. aid and shipped out of the country. So our farm is completely bankrupt. We have no customer. We had this whole deal with the U.S. government, and now that is just gone in a second. And we are completely decimated. USAID buys about $2 billion worth of American farmers' goods annually, and every single one of those farms is in the same boat as us now. It's a sinking boat.
Meet Luis, a lifelong Republican wheat farmer who voted for Trump not once, not twice, but all three times. She said she was thrilled to do it. She said that she wants him to fight for people just like her. But here's the reality that she's facing right now. Her farm now is gone, bankrupt. She had a government contract to sell 100% of her wheat to U.S. aid. That deal was vanished overnight. The buyers, gone. The money, gone. And here's where the irony cuts deep. Luis admits that 70% of her workforce were indeed undocumented immigrants, the very same people, the lives and livelihoods she voted to upend. And now they're not showing up to work. And without them, her business has collapsed. Luis is on TikTok now, literally about 5 videos, blaming Trump for not protecting farmers like her. But here's the thing. These policies were never designed to protect your farm, Luis. And if you were literally educated, you would have took 2 minutes to research and find that out for yourself. These policies were designed to make a point, no matter who got hurt, even his own voters. So, Luis, actions have consequences. And sometimes they come for you first.
In the previous Trump administration, when we had the trade war with China, we lost a good share of our soybean market. I'm Nick, and I'm the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union. When it comes to tariffs, agriculture tends to get hit first and gets hit the hardest, unfortunately. And we've seen this before in the previous Trump administration. When we had the trade war with China, we lost a good share of our soybean market. So it is an issue. We were just getting our foot in the door in China to sell beef to them. Now that's all changed. So it worries me when we see issues like this, especially when we're dealing with our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, 2 of our biggest and best trading partners. And so we've got to go about this the right way. And I'm concerned that we're not doing that.
There are a lot of people who are very concerned out there who voted for this administration. But they wrote it all down in Project 2025. I guess we should have paid a little closer attention to what was in that. I read the agriculture section. I know it better than I probably should. But it was there. It was all in writing. We probably should have paid closer attention to it.
Hello. So I live in Kansas, and I am a blue dot in a red sea, allegedly. But I just wanted to say, I don't think that's true. And I live in Wichita, and I've lived here most of my whole life. And I think this city is actually quite progressive. But you know what we have here? We have the Koch brothers and a lot of mega churches and a lot of young people who don't vote.
Donald Trump, better get them damn 401k plans jacked back up. I'm getting too old for them things to come down. I need them to go one way, up.
Who's gonna tell the peanut butter toast lady and the inbred knuckle-dragging, slack-jawed mouth breathers that are really excited about SNAP getting cut that when those people aren't giving their SNAP dollars to these big corporations, they will raise the prices on all the rest of us? We will pay for SNAP being cut off. Never mind the fact that military families use SNAP and WIC. You think you're better than everybody else, but you are one singular event in life away from needing those assistance programs.
Hey, what's up everybody? Hey, I just wanted to let the MAGA crowd know that there is still a Cracker Barrel here with that old man in a barrel here in Kansas City, Missouri, so you guys can relax for a little bit. It's not all woke yet. You can sleep better now. Night night, MAGA.
I bet you've been hearing a lot about rural hospitals that are going to have to close because of these Medicaid cuts. But it's not just rural hospitals. Research Med is ending NICU labor and delivery services. Research Med is in a predominantly black area of Kansas City. A lot of the patients are on Medicaid or Medicare, and they deliver over 600 babies a year. And it's not like those babies are just not going to be born. So if you are in Kansas City and you voted for Trump, it's going to affect you wildly. When you go to St. Luke's now to have your baby, your delivery plan with your water birth and your doula is not going to take priority because those 600 babies still need to be born somewhere. If you are a blue city in a red state, you are definitely not safe. The nurses are protesting outside daily, so if you see them, stop and give them some water, stand with them in solidarity, do what you can.
Here's a fact. 13% of the homeless population are veterans. So, I really don't think y'all are fucking patriots if you're going after homeless veterans.
And we keep losing fucking help. You know, if we could just have someone show up every day, not get stressed out for fucking whatever reason they get stressed out for, you know, we might actually be able to fucking get something done. And we gotta have machines that fucking want to stay running. But, yeah, you know.
Is this your help wanted ad?
I mean, if it would get us some help, by God, fucking show up.
All of my friends and family on Facebook are MAGA. I used to be, but I woke up. I cannot break through to get them to see clearly, and they think that I am so wrong. Yesterday, I posted this. If you aren't aware, we are currently in a government shutdown, and Trump has declared war on our own citizens, sending our own troops to major cities, hoping so bad that our military remembers their oath to the Constitution, not to a wannabe dictator president with unchecked power. He should be charged with treason. This is serious. Please wake up to what is happening. He's starting a civil war, not making our cities safe again. And these are some of the responses that I got from my MAGA friends and family. If I didn't get laughing emojis. Okay, so this is one response that I got. Have you watched videos from citizens in those areas where the National Guard is called in to clean house on the criminals? They're so happy. Literally, only criminals are being targeted. Law-abiding citizens have zero to worry about. All the things you're saying sound like leftist fear-mongering talking points, to be honest. I have followed politics closely for over 30 years. I have seen the government shut down over a budget impasse several times. They always figure it out. This is nothing new. And then she posted like a bunch of videos of people supposedly being so grateful that the troops are sent to their cities. And I'm like, you are manipulated. Then this friend, she saw my post, and then she sent this text to her military friend and then screenshotted what her military friend sent back to her and then sent it to me. And this was what she asked her military friend. She said, do you have any idea what she's talking about with Trump supposedly sending troops to our major cities? And this military friend said, I'd rather the National Guard be in the streets than the rioters and looters, cartels, etc. That's the side of the news they don't share. It's totally legal for the president to call up the Guard when necessary, like in Utah during the protests or in DC a few years ago, LA recently, etc.
That kind of talk is just not informed. I'm sorry, but whoever that is needs to stop spreading that kind of fear until they actually know the whole picture and not just what news outlets and social media are telling them. And then she said, yeah, for sure, what's going on in LA, that he called up the National Guard in other cities too. So she doesn't even know about any of the protests. She doesn't even know the National Guard is being sent to cities, let alone the real reason. And then one guy posted, you believe you know what's actually going on, you are the one that needs to wake up.
All my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it.
In small towns and rural counties, frustration is turning into doubt. Families who once trusted promises of revival are watching their livelihoods disappear. The question spreading through Kansas now is simple, but painful. What happened to the American dream?
So the Trump administration is withholding millions of dollars from the Kansas Department of Education, as well as over $6 billion from the rest of the country, despite Congress already approving of this funding. Now, according to the Topeka Capital Journal, over $45 million are currently being withheld from the Kansas Department of Education. The Trump administration is withholding funding for improving teachers' effectiveness, for STEM education, for college and career counseling and readiness, for adult education grants.
Good morning. I am in Leavenworth, Kansas, one of the next locations that the Trump administration wants another concentration camp.
I'm not sure how to feel anymore about everything that's going on. So everyone's in an uproar because they're talking about taking away the SNAP benefits. Now, I voted for Trump, but I gotta say, man, I don't feel warm and cozy about this one. I don't agree with taking people's food, their resources to survive. There's elderly, there's children. I understand there's people on the system that abuse it, misuse it, buy processed foods, however you want to put that. But what it boils down to is just like a kid in a grocery store that's acting out, screaming, acting a fool. You can't blame that child. You got to blame who's in charge, the parents. Now, the government's in charge of all of this stuff that's going on. Senate, Congress, whoever, the president, they're in charge of, deciding who gets assistance, food, so to speak. They created a monster. Now they got to try to find a way to fix it.
There's all these women, 20 to 30-year-old women who, that you never saw at the polls before. And it's a long line, and they're all there to vote. And it's just they're stealing it fair and square. And they all came back out because I could see them. You had 700 unaffiliated female voters, 20 to 30, that all came out just to circle in one circle because it was the only question on the ballot. And they all came back out for the general to vote again.
In Leavenworth, we have a high turnover of people. And so when I'm knocking on doors and I'm looking at the voter rolls, I knock on the door and there's the two people who live there now, and the two people who lived there before them, and the two people who lived there before them. And maybe some of them folks are dead, but we just don't have really good tools for cleaning up our voter rolls. I've tried to do a couple things. Since I've been in the elections committee, I sponsored and passed a bill that gives the clerks a tool where if there's no election activity for a certain amount of time, they can verify if the voter lives there, and then it kind of starts a clock to take them off the voter rolls. This year, at the suggestion of the Clerks Association, we passed a law that allows them to use online obituaries for the funeral homes in their county. Because before they had to look in the newspaper, and I don't know about you, a lot of people don't get the newspaper anymore, so they don't put obituaries in the newspaper. But some other things I'd like to do, who knows if you're alive or dead? Your credit card company and your bank, because they don't want to give you a loan and they don't want to keep giving you a credit line after you're dead. So I would like to, and this is something that other states have done, work with the credit rating agencies to find out who's alive and dead. And I'm not talking about getting your credit history so you can vote. I'm just saying, let's contract so we can send them a list of names, because the list of registered voters is publicly available already, and say, hey, any of these people dead? And get that list back and take them off the rolls.
Frame retirement. You have $400,000 SGF for a redistricting special session. That's 4 days. There's $400,000 SGF to increase legislative compensation by 4.4% starting January 1st, 2026. This is still an estimate. So, all that BLS data still has to be finalized.
Why do rural Americans keep voting straight red tickets and actively undermining their futures? I have an example. This is Josh Hawley. He's my rich senator, and like me, he grew up in rural Missouri. But unlike me, he did not go to his underfunded public school. He went an hour's drive away to a private school in Kansas City. His father was a bank president and saw the importance of education. It would never let his son be educated at a terrible school. That town that Josh grew up in is like 70% red, and that district is as bad as it gets in the state. It ranked 521 out of 535. But people in this community keep voting for people that write laws that make their town and schools worse. Why? I don't get it.
I bet you've been hearing a lot about rural hospitals that are going to have to close because of these Medicaid cuts. But it's not just rural hospitals. Research Med is ending NICU labor and delivery services. Research Med is in a predominantly black area of Kansas City. A lot of the patients are on Medicaid or Medicare, and they deliver over 600 babies a year. And it's not like those babies are just not going to be born. So if you are in Kansas City and you voted for Trump, it's going to affect you wildly. When you go to St. Luke's now to have your baby, your delivery plan with your water birth and your doula is not going to take priority.
There are Democrats out here. We live here. And if the pain and suffering only targeted Trump voters, I'd be all for it. It's fun. Leopards eating faces, I enjoy it too. But the truth is, it hurts the weakest and the poorest and those who need the most help in our communities. The elderly, the children, the disabled.
So I know we've all been seeing a lot of town halls of Republicans fighting for their life, but this is one that I had not seen until earlier today.
What you're doing right now, what the government is doing right now, as far as cutting out those jobs, a huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
Yes.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame.
Yes.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great. We don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
We're going to take pictures with you, buddy, right?
In a statement to local news, Marshal's office said it was Democratic operatives who sabotaged that town hall and went on, quote, real Kansans overwhelmingly support President Trump's DOGE initiative, shrinking the size of the federal government and firing career bureaucrats. Marshall won his seat in 2020 with 53% of the vote statewide. In rural Logan County, where that town hall took place, where he walked out of a room full of constituents who were voicing their concerns about drastic cuts to government jobs and programs, in that county, he won 80% of the vote in 2020. So I guess we'll find out what real Kansans think about DOGE's cuts and Trump's priorities and Roger Marshall's answers to their questions in 2026 when he's up for re-election.
I think Republicans in red states like Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, just like getting screwed over by Trump, because that's all he's ever done to them. It's all he's done to the farmers there. He's done it again. He did it his first term, and they voted for him still. And he's done it again now in his second term. He's screwing the farmers over. They're calling for a moratorium on their mortgages. They're about to go bankrupt, all due to Trump's tariffs. And they voted for this. They wanted this. They voted for the guy who he said was going to tariff the hell out of everyone, and they knew it would screw them over, but they voted for him anyways. It defies logic. Can anyone explain this to me? Is it just your bias and hatred towards others runs so deep that it doesn't matter to you what happens to you financially, personally, economically? You'd rather vote for him than someone that would actually take care of you? It just makes no sense. Someone make it make sense, please.
If you voted for Donald Trump, and if you call yourself a conservative or a Republican, and you make less than $400,000 a year, you are voting against your best interest. Watch this as many times as you need to.
So my home state of Missouri, like unfortunately a lot of states in the U.S., will have a lot of citizens losing their SNAP benefits come November, just because our government representatives are pieces of shit who refuse to prioritize the people like they're fucking supposed to.
Well, for anybody paying attention, the mass immigration deportations have officially hit the Midwest. I live in a mid-sized town in Kansas, about 60,000 people, and I work at a facility where we employ a lot of immigrants. And unfortunately, we're going to be losing a lot of people this week. And just to be clear, these are not immigrants that have an undocumented status up until Trump recently changed a rule. I would love to know what that rule is. But for whatever the reason, whatever the new rule is, don't know the rule, they don't have jobs anymore. So people that have worked with us for several years, just no issues. A couple dozen. Sucks.
The situation in Kansas is more than politics. It's a reality check. Families who once believed in promises of economic revival are now facing hardship, loss, and growing uncertainty. The struggle across America's heartland reveals a truth too many ignore. Leadership has consequences, and empty promises have a price. These stories aren't about party lines. They're about people fighting to survive. If this message resonates with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep these voices alive. And click the video on your screen to see what's really happening behind America's economic divide.